Hey, what's up everybody? It is Kellen here from Start Your Systems, and welcome to our first look at Monster Energy Supercross, the official video game 3. This is an alpha version that myself and several other YouTubers got to play over the weekend at the Monster Energy Cup. If you actually head over to like Thailand, Donut, Yellow S2K, Wyndham 151's channels, they also have probably some footage to show you guys. But this is just some of the stuff that I captured, and I kind of wanted to share what I was able to learn about the game over the weekend as well with you. So this is not a live play, but I will talk about some of the things that you're watching on screen while talking about some of the features I learned about the game. If you don't want to hear me talk and you just want to hear some raw gameplay footage, I'll include a link in the description to a raw gameplay upload that I'm going to upload simultaneously with this one, so you can check that out. But let's go ahead and jump in and talk about Monster Energy Supercross 3. We got to play Houston, which is what you're about to see, and Anaheim 1, which we'll see in about 5-10 minutes. And obviously based off of the 2018 season, it has, as far as I can tell, every rider except Ken Roczen in the game so far. And official teams can be joined, which is one of the things that a lot of people, of course, asked for. We got it in MXGP 2019. Now we also have it in Monster Energy Supercross 3. So that was obviously kind of the big news. From there, what I wanted to talk about at the beginning of this video, so you guys could like kind of see it and hear it from my perspective at the same time, is the physics, of course. You guys always are asking about the looseness of the physics, what has changed, what is the same. And one thing that you may pick up on a little bit is that they actually quite a bit loosened up the actual physical movements in the air of the bike. In the past, if you took off of a jump and you tried to like lean the bike in a certain direction, the rider would just lean and you could actually like go from pretty far off the side of the track and bring the bike back on. Can't do that anymore. You are literally stuck going the direction you take off, which makes it obviously a lot more challenging, risk versus reward, to be able to hit things the proper way and not go flying off the track. But if you don't initiate a scrub by either turning the sticks towards each other or away from each other like you used to, you do actually have quite a bit of freedom in the air. You can definitely maneuver the bike left or right. There's a couple times that I got off what felt kind of like a whip, but not really. I don't know like when exactly I'll be able to show you guys in this footage what I'm talking about, but like you can see, even coming into that corner, the bike like definitely is turning a lot into the corner. Like, see how much I'm moving and leaning in the air right there? It's not that much in that particular occasion, but you can definitely feel it when you're playing how much looser the actual physical abilities of the bike are, beyond just the scrubbing aspect. Now, what you just saw right there as well is that the ruts don't really hold you, which is not uncommon in the Supercross games. Obviously, MXGP has gone through the gamut of ups and downs with the ruts, but Supercross has always kind of had this, like, you can blow through the ruts thing, which I don't really think is all too bad, because in Supercross it's much more about like the rhythm jumping and stuff like that as opposed to the cornering. So it's not terrible, but it actually does loosen up the rear end a little bit more in this game. I think you're not stuck to the ground, I feel, as like harshly with the rear end, but you can really rail corners and you can lay into things very nicely. Really enjoyed the feel of the cornering. You have to get slowed down for corners. You can't just absolutely blow corners apart, so that's kind of fun. Yeah, I think in general this is like a good positive step for the physics, both in the air and on the ground. I think the in-air physics is what everybody is going to key off of as the improvement in this game, because of that looseness that you have beyond just the animated scrub, which is what that is right there off of the finish line jump. But there's a lot more. See, look at like kind of turning the bike to the right there. It's not actually turning the entire character to the right. It's like literally kind of whipping the front end out a little bit, and you can bring it back. You may see it, like I said, come a little bit more deeper in the video. I think actually on my Anaheim play, which I did with Justin Bogle, you'll see that in like 5 minutes. There was a lot more looseness of the whipping. I just was trying to hot lap Houston for some reason when I was getting this footage. But yeah, like I said, it's overall like a good improvement. Is everything perfect? No, it's not. There are things about this game I still would prefer to change, and I will, like, you know, accentuate the fact that this is an alpha version of the game. There is still a lot that they may change based off of feedback that either myself and the other YouTubers are going to give them, or that you guys may offer in watching this gameplay. So this isn't like a set in stone copy of the game. This is just your guys' ability to kind of see where they are at before we get to February 2020 when this game is meant to come out. In terms of what's coming in the game, which I think, you know, a lot of people would be really stoked to hear about some of these changes. The thing I'm kind of most stoked for is there's this really cool feature coming in online mode called Race Director, which allows you to be a host of a session without actually racing the session. Now, most of you might think, oh, that sounds dumb. Why would you host and not race? In my sake, obviously, it's because I'd love to stream things. So that's really cool. But you can like determine your own penalties, tell people where they're going to start in the grid. You can even change the results post-race if you want. Like really, really in-depth directive mode in this online gameplay aspect that I'm really stoked to see. I don't know what I'm doing in this rhythm section, but floundering around like an absolute idiot. Actually, I would recommend you guys go watch Tylen's gameplay of this Houston track because he did a backflip and a front flip on this track. I don't know if he's going to upload it today, but he definitely got down and funky on this tunnel jump. See, there was right there over the finish line jump. That was a little bit of the like looseness in the air. That was not a scripted whip. That was literally just me pushing the bike down and bringing it back a little bit. So it's not a ton. I get it. It's not like free the whip, but it is a bit looser than it has ever been before, and I think that is going to lead into more dramatic improvements down the road. So just take that for what it is. I know not everyone is going to agree with my opinion of what this looks like, but I promise you when you actually feel it in your hands, it does feel quite a bit different than Supercross 2. Continuing on with the features of the game, of course, there's all sorts of rider customizations. They said the track editor is going to have new modules. We were unable to, confirm that and actually check that out ourselves. So we'll kind of down the road talk a little bit more about that. But another big thing that's coming that I was actually really stoked, and I think you guys are going to be really stoked to hear this, is that the compound isn't just like kind of a made-up thing that they decided to make on their own. It's the I think it's 8 test tracks in Corona, California, in Temescal Valley, where all the factory teams actually go and test. Like if you ever watch a video of RacerX films or old Verb videos, there was a lot of videos of people on test tracks. If you go to riders' Instagrams, they use GoPro footage of them on the test tracks to show you, their training. I think this is really cool. It's a big free ride open map that you can go to. You can ride all 8 tracks. You can ride I think the Honda, Suzuki, Yamaha, Pro Circuit, TLD, KTM, Husqvarna. Did I say Yamaha? And Star Yamaha, I think, are the 8 tracks that would be up there. I think that's awesome. Just being from California myself, I know where that is, so that's really cool. But I think fans in general know of those tracks, so that's going to be pretty cool to play. It's almost like having a level of like the Stew compound in the game. So I think that's a big added bonus. They really pushed hard to like tell us about the female character that's now involved in the game, so you can choose a female character to play as your career character, which was not available before. They have all 17 rounds of Supercross. The online servers are now going to dedicated servers. It's no longer this before where it was kind of like keying off of different servers and you would have a lot of like kind of glitchy things going on. I remember a lot of lobby issues have persisted in Supercross games before. Looking at you console gamers, unfortunately, have had some issues, I know. So they were really stoked to talk about dedicated servers and where that's going. Again, we didn't get a chance to like test this stuff, so I'm not swearing that it's going to be 100% ironclad perfect at launch. But that is a market improvement because it's going to make lobbies a lot easier to get together and launch and not crash and get your friends online and play together and things like that. So that is definitely very cool. Trying to think if there's anything else. At the end of actually this Anaheim clip that I'm showing right now, I will go through a little bit of the customization and show you what it looks like when your rider is going to be on a, quote, factory team. Like you customize your rider a little bit and then you put him on a factory bike and you see kind of how that looks. So I'll get to that in a moment, but just talking about some more of the gameplay action here as you're seeing me play as Justin Bogle. This rhythm section was a pain in the butt to get. I swear they made it very, very difficult to triple them in that rhythm section. So it's not like it's impossible. It just was really hard for me to get it. And obviously this is Anaheim 1, so it was a quote mudder race back then as well. So the lines may be a little bit different than what they were able to do in real life. I like the whoops physics a little bit better, I think, in this game. It's no longer so just like get perfectly on top and you're good. There was a lot of times, especially on Houston, Anaheim was a little easier to get on top of that set, but on Houston that you'd go like 2, 3, 4 skipping no problem, and then your front end would dive and you bounce back up really hard. And I mean, that's realistic to real life. You don't hit the front end on every single whoop and you're gonna have a bad day. So I thought that was really cool. It feels a lot more what whoops are kind of supposed to feel like. They added in this game as well, which was not really possible in Supercross 2, the ability to lock up your rear brake on corner entries. So anybody that's ever been to a Supercross has seen that happen. Villapoto made that famous, coming into corners and really sliding the rear end of the bike into corners and stuff like that. So that was something that I found to be pretty fun and good with the gameplay. In general, like I said, you may not think that this looks much different than Supercross 2, but it felt a lot different. I don't know if that's just because I was playing differently or what, but you can probably ask the other YouTubers that are uploading as well. I think that they would say the same thing from what I was, speaking to them on the weekend about the game and things that we liked and didn't like. We got the opportunity to play the game a lot, which we haven't ever really had before. Like, they invited us out to Anaheim and we got 1 hour session. When I went to Austria to play MXGP, we got an hour and a half. I think myself, Yellow, Tylen, and Donut all probably played like a total of like 5, almost 6 hours of this game over the weekend. So it got to a point where we were, I think, riding pretty decently and got to understand the physical aspect of the game pretty well. And we all agreed that we were having an enjoyable experience. It's meant to be kind of an arcadey type game. It doesn't have to appeal to the sim player. It has to appeal to the casual player. And as, gamers ourselves, we kind of understand that process. But I do think that this is actually one of the more simulated versions of the game that I've ever felt play, because it was really technical. It was really hard. I had my wife there with me. She sat down and played it, and she was, she picked it up, but it wasn't like an immediate satisfaction of like everything is too easy, that even she picked it up and got it right away, because she's not really like a gamer, so I think for us fans, the hardcore fans, this is going to be a better improvement than the past games have been, where it felt like there wasn't much being done, but this one I felt like there was a lot being done. So I'm stoked for it. I mean, again, take that with a grain of salt. I'm not saying that my opinion is the end all be all, but I had a blast playing it. So really looking forward to getting down and playing it more and trying to connect lines. Clearly, like, there's a lot of different options in these rhythm lanes. It doesn't seem as like straightforward as some of the lanes have been in the past, which I really liked, because like in Track Editor is always my favorite thing to do, was try to make rhythms that were unorthodox. And in the previous titles, especially Supercross 1, the rhythms were so forced in the official tracks that it really didn't ever get to a level where it felt fun to try something different. But I think we went for like 4 or 5 different rhythm options in this rhythm lane coming up after the Supercross triple. Clearly I tripled in onto the table on the other rhythm lane a half a lap ago too. A lot of different options at play, so really enjoyed that. Trying to think, there wasn't much that like I didn't really enjoy. I will say that it was a little laggy at times, and I think that's just because it's an alpha build. As you can see from my gameplay, there is a little glitchiness to it, which I wasn't really noticing too much when I was playing, but looking back on it now, maybe it's just my footage being a bit glitchy, but it did when I first picked it up feel a little strange, probably because it's a new game, but it did feel like a little not crisply smooth. So those are little details. They'll get ironed out. They still have 3.5 months till release. It's coming out February 4th, 2020. So I think that there are a lot of positives to take from an alpha build 3.5 months before release of a game that I think is making a lot of steps in the right direction. So before I sign off and let you guys debate in the comments below whether or not my opinions suck or this game is better. Here's a little bit of look at the customization. We were only able to like go in and actually put our name and, you know, change the fonts and stuff like that. So this part right here might get a tiny bit bland because I'm just basically putting in my name. And Fail Race was playing right before me. It's a guy named Alex that runs a channel called Fail Race. I would recommend checking him out. He's really cool. So he was playing right before me, and I was just changing my stuff up so I could record some more stuff in a minute that you'll see in the raw gameplay. But just going through and kind of looking at some of the customization options, it's really pretty much the same standard set as before. But as you can see, I'm also wearing Honda-themed gear, which is Cole Seeley's Troy Lee Designs set. Now, what's cool about that is that you can choose between the 2 riders that are on the factory teams, and sometimes 3 or 4 riders that are on the factory teams. Like Hep Suzuki had multiple riders. Drawing a blank on another team right now. Moto Concepts had multiple riders. Yeah, Brayton, Freeze, Mookie. Whatever their gear set was, you can also run that gear set. So you're not just like, if you're on Red Bull KTM, well, that's a bad example. If you're on Monster Kawasaki, you're not tied to Tomac's Alpine Stars gear. You can run Joey Savacci's Just One gear as well. I'll show that in a second, but I thought that was kind of cool just because it's not as stale as it was, where it's like you get on a factory team, all you can do is change your boots and helmet, and you can't change the gear. Now you can. Yes, it's only to the other set of the rider that you know, is on the team, I guess. But I don't know. I thought that was kind of a cool addition. I'm going to show it right here before I let you guys go. I'm going to go into a single event and then go to my rider selection right here. There we go. Go to official presets, and you can see bike changing up in the upper right hand corner, and then the gear changing as well depending on which rider I'm on. I don't know. Just, I thought that was cool. Maybe you don't think it is, but just something I figured I would point out before I sign off for the day. So this was a first look video at Monster Energy Supercross, the official video game 3. We're going to have more content coming out in this because we were able to record a lot. So that's kind of a cool thing that they allowed us to do. But just wanted to get some thoughts off my chest about the game and about the weekend. Really appreciate everybody for watching. And as always, Kellen here on Start Your Systems saying I'll see you guys in the next one. So long for now.